Yeah.
it's like it's a fighting against everything to gain weight. When you're dieting and you're like super lean, I remember that one time you got ultra
Mhm.
super lean. Remember, like, your heartbeat slows down like crazy. And between beats, even you have this like sense of peace almost. You're like, I could just sit down in a chair and actually die of starvation. It would go very well. Like, I just feel like this just equanimity. It's just like when you're eating to get bloated, to get massive, you feel physically fucking uncomfortable and it
Mhm.
doesn't feel healthy and it does not feel good. The fucking, touch my forehead and there's like a vein. You can feel your heartbeat all the time.
Mhm.
You feel like oily and sticky and gross. You get the moon face look. It's awful. And you're like, I know I'm supposed to be eating more. And I know that eating more is bad for my health. Luckily, I'm not on gear. Wait, I also am.
Mhm.
Am I going to fucking die from this?
Yeah.
It's like it's a fighting against everything to gain weight. And just recently, I was gaining from 250 to 255 in my last off season. And I will say for the first time in my life, I ran into sleep apnea. I was really lucky. I'd never gotten it before. And that was just too much muscle, apparently. My neck's too jacked. And I ran into sleep apnea. I was 38 years old. I'm going to be 39 here in a couple of weeks. And I was like, could I get a CPAP to take this to the next level? And my answer to myself was no. And it was strange that I answered that because an earlier version of me, we were like, fuck it, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I'm not going to. I'm already at the top of the heavyweights in bodybuilding muscle mass wise. Any more muscle that I put on, much more, is going to take me out of that, my most competitive class. I'm only 5'6", like the super heavies are all taller. And I told myself, I'm not going to go any further. So I cut off my mass gain phase and replaced it with like a much slower mass gain phase. I felt a ton better. But it was interesting because I talked to, in Vegas where I was training at the time, Dragon's Lair is all pros. And I talked to a few of them. And one guy had just like, was gaining up to like 320 for the first time. And I was like, comedically, obviously, I was like, how do you feel? He's like, oh my God, terrible.
Mhm.
And I was like, how was your sleep? He's like, well, I just got a CPAP a few weeks ago, so it's been great. And I was like, what was it like before that? He's like, well, I did a sleep study and I was waking up like 59 times in 1 hour, apparently. Like, oh my God, you're choking to death every
Mhm.
fucking minute. He's like, yep. And nothing about getting that far out of your comfort zone, size-wise, feels good. Do you remember how great and mobile you were when you were gaining to 300, Dave? Remember that?
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's fucking awesome.
jumping out of your car and jumping back in.
Yeah.
Everything blows. And then you have to ask the question of, why the hell am I doing this to myself? Hopefully there's an answer in there somewhere. I guess a lot of people ask, like, like what motivates you as a bodybuilder or as a powerlifter? Do you ever get that? Do you ever get asked that question back
All the
then? Do you
time.
ever get it now? What is your standard answer for that?
I
sort of
don't.
thing? Yeah.
I don't begin to answer it because they don't know.
Yeah.
They can't comprehend.
Sure.
Right now, we could have a conversation and you just know.
Sure.
Right. So
Sure.
I just gave up trying to explain something that
Yeah.
they're not going to understand. Where if whatever their passion is, I'm probably not passionate about. So if
Yeah.
they're passionate about piano or something
Right.
like that, they're not going to be able to explain to me,
Yeah.
what that really is.
Yeah.
So I just don't.
Interesting.
But then, obviously they'll judge, but I don't care, so they'll forget about it 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, because I'm not that important. No,
Right.
'cause we're not that important to these other people that they're not going to give a fuck 10 minutes later.
Totally.
They just want to figure out like, why the fuck you do what you do? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think for me, a lot of times it's not even so much that it's a goal-oriented thing. It's it's a journey of experience. The idea of hitting a PR, the feel of a PR in the gym, even the hunt for a PR, there's something magical about it. The idea of getting the biggest pump of your entire life and looking in the mirror and being like, holy fuck, that is fucking magical. And after a while, you're so involved in the lifestyle of making these things happen. And those habits of training and eating are so ingrained and you like them so much. When people ask you, like, so what motivates you to do all this? You're like, I forgot. I just do it because I like it. It's not really like they're not even an explicit goal after a while. Because you ask people like, I was actually name drop alert. Here comes the name drop. As credit to who it's due. I was talking to Jay Cutler at gym in Vegas, And, you know, he knows of who I am sometimes. And I, of course, instantly like fell to my knees and started crying when he walked up to me, the usual.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you know, what are you training for? And I was like, oh yeah, Masters Nationals. I'm, you know, like low key seeing if I have what it takes to maybe get a Masters Pro card. I don't know, probably not, blah, blah. And, you know, he said very nice things. And he was like, what about after? And I was like, well, yeah, I think I'm going to do like, if I get a pro card somehow, I cry for 10 days after, be a miraculous experience. I'm going to do like one pro show and then I'll be out. And he looks at me and he smiles and says, no, you're not. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I told myself that for fucking years.
Yeah.
I was just going to do one more show, just win one more Olympia, and then I was out. And you just keep wanting more. And I was like, fuck, I sure hope that's not true. But it's Jay Cutler telling me it's probably true. And it's just like, you just keep doing the thing that you're doing. Imagine, you know, like hitting some kind of total in powerlifting. That's the biggest total you've wanted for a long time. What do you do after that? How many people really just quit?
Well, you have to, I have put more thought into this when I'm leaving than what I'm putting out there.
Sure.
Is what I've concluded, you know, for myself is it's a process. It's a journey of mastery that I have more control of than other journeys that I'm on.
Yes.
So in business, it's a journey of mastery, but I only have so much realistic control because there's a lot of things outside my control that impact
the customer,
economy, there's a lot of variables. I mean, it's overwhelming, you know, because you got to try to figure those out and figure out which ones matter and which ones don't to be able to move that. Now in the strength journey of however it is competing at the higher level or figuring out to keep training the way that I like to train now to be able to just push for something in the abyss that's out there that I can train for. I can control most of the variables, right? Most of them I can control.
Oh yeah.
Some age changes things, but I can still control those. Sure. Like I know the changes. I know what's going to happen. I know what's expected. I know how to change what my projected outcome is.
Sure.
I can't do that with anything else. I can't even do that. I've been married 30 some years, whatever. I really can't even do that in marriage either.
No, you think you can do that in marriage? Holy shit.
I think it's having that ability to control a mastery process that we become kind of addicted to. Yes. And it can be very serving because all those skills carry over to life, business, and everything else. It can also destroy some people because it becomes their identity, and the journey isn't the journey is what they should identify with. Yeah. Not the pro card, the world record holder, or whatever it is. And everybody says that, you know, and everybody's told that, but I don't think you really get it until you're through it.
Sure.
You know, and on the other side, you kind of look back and say, oh, okay, this is what it was. Then I can also look back and see those people that are stuck in that identity. And it's like, dude, it's over.